What is up, hammerheads? Welcome back to the forge. I know you weren't expecting to see me, but I got a really cool video that I was given the opportunity to make. We're going to be testing some knives. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so first and foremost, let me talk about what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be testing two knives that a friend of mine sent me who is a seller on Whatnot. Now his Whatnot handle is J Tizzle. I'll leave a link in the description actually to his page, or to one of his shows, so you can go check him out. And he sells some really cool Damascus knives. Now these are over the seas made Damascus knives. Comes with a little leather sheath on all of them. I'll show you the other one too. These are two different manufacturers. Now, he wanted me to go through and check the out-of-the-box quality, the durability, and some other fun things that I would like to do with them, including clamping this thing in my vise and breaking it to see how strong it was, or to see if I can break it. So I've got a few tests that I want to do. I'm going to do a little bit of batoning. I'm not going to go crazy right off the bat. I'm going to do a little bit of batoning with some cedar that I have. And I'm going to use a wooden mallet. I'm going to do a sharpness test to see how well out of the box it will curl and make, fine curls. I'm also going to check to see if it'll throw sparks off of a ferro rod. Now this is out of the box. I do know the Damascus knives that I've gotten from other people will throw sparks once you sharpen the spine, okay? And then again, we're going to do a clamp in the vise and see how quickly it will break. Now that last one is a very extreme situation, like you're using it to try to pry a metal door open, okay? So, first thing we're going to do, guys, I'm going to get the camera set up, and we're going to do a little bit of batoning on this. Now, how I'm going to do that is I'm going to say test knife 1, and we're going to be running it. Then I'm going to say test knife 2, and we're going to run it. And we're going to do number 1 and number 2 and keep them in order. So, that's going to be how we're going to do this video, guys. I am looking forward to this. So let's play. Alright guys, so our first knife is a little bit thinner blade, as you can see, and it's a little bit lighter Damascus. Has the red handle. So this is test knife 1, guys. We are testing it on a piece of cedar because that's what I had. Well, it batons pretty well, guys. Go to this one right here. That thin blade. It held its shape. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going through anything major because I wouldn't be batoning with this. I'm doing what you would normally baton with. Like, you would be batoning wood like this. Now, let's go to test knife number 2. Flip this over. Baton from the other side. There we go. Alrighty. Oop. That's doing very well also. Oh. Well, I can go ahead and tell you guys, and I should have known it. It is an epoxy handle, and I did bust it. It's not designed for what I'm doing this for, okay? So, I will say if you hit that epoxy really hard, those resins, they will bust. So, I'm gonna say that. Even though that is technically something I did, if you hit it too hard with something, it could break that handle. All right. Now. Okay, guys. So now we're going to do sharpness test. Now, I just batoned with them, and this is just straight out of the box. And out of the box, that has a fairly decent edge. Not bad. Not bad at all. It does do curls. Let's try test knife number 2. Out of the box, it's looking like test knife number 1 is a little bit sharper. Get over here. Yeah, it looks like test knife number 1 is a little bit sharper out of the box, but still not that bad. This would be nothing to clean up. All right, on to the next test. All right, guys, so this is just a test that I wanted to try because I was curious how sharp the spine was. So I'm gonna try a couple spots. That's rounded. Let's see. Right up close to the tip, you can throw some sparks. Not a super sharp spine. This one throws sparks very well, all down that spine. Yeah. So far, in my opinion, they both baton very well. They both cut pretty well. This one could be a little sharper out of the box, which is nothing to fix. That's a lot of knives straight out of the box. The epoxy doesn't hold up if it gets hit. If you hit that really hard with something, and I was hitting pretty hard with that mallet, it could bust it. So that would be my only thing. The wooden one held up very well. All right, guys, now we're gonna clamp it in a vise and break them. All right, guys, test knife number 1. I'm gonna go about halfway on the blade. Now, this is a thinner knife, so I do not expect it to hold up to what I'm about to do to it, okay, guys? You're never gonna do this. Even the batoning was a little extreme, okay? You don't really baton unless you absolutely have to. Use an axe. But, ready? Test knife number 1. Now, let's look at the grain on the inside of this. Now, the way this is crystallized on the inside, it did have a good weld. And that is high carbon steel. You can see that it's crystallized right there, guys. Take off my glove real quick. Make sure it comes into focus. But you can see how that's crystallized. That means it'll hold an edge very well. I don't know the Rockwell hardness of it. It bent very well also. It didn't just break. And that's something I like. It didn't just break, it bent before it broke. And don't get me wrong, this is a fairly thin knife. This would turn out to be a really good skinning knife. So, but I did break it. All right, guys. Set this over here. All right. Oh, put my gloves back on. Gotta be safe. And let's do test knife number 2. Again, guys, gonna go about halfway on this blade. This is test knife number 2. See it right there. Whoa. All right. Now, I pulled with the same amount of strength I did on test knife number 1, and I could barely bend it. Okay? Now, so that means this is a lot more durable, a lot thicker material to use with. And it feels like it's going to give and flex a little bit more than what the other one did. So, like I said though, wow. Seeing this one in real time, guys. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. It didn't break. I mean, don't get me wrong, I could break it. I could put a pipe on it and I could do some serious bending. Oh, wrong size pipe. All right, guys, this is still test knife number 2. I got a piece of pipe. Let's see what it does. Now it finally broke. And you can see the layers in that a little bit. All right. Now look, what I did was severe torture. Nobody's gonna do what I just did to this knife. But you can see the grain on the inside also, right here. Let me take my glove off again. You can see the grain structure inside there. So it is a hard knife. So let's go over and talk about what we learned. Let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned about these 2 knives. All right, guys, so let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned today. So let's talk about knife number 1. As you can see, I bent this knife fairly far before it broke at the pinch point. And this is where it was pinched in the vise. It was not a clean break. And personally, I think that's a good thing because it wasn't just breaking apart, it actually tore apart. So it was holding together and fighting to hold together. And it did that with both knives. Was I able to bend this fairly easy? Yes. It is a very thin blade, okay? So yes, I was able to bend it. But on that note, you're not going to be prying with this knife. It's not designed for that. But I did learn the limitations. So this would be a very good knife for bushcraft. It would be very easy to sharpen this and really get a good Scandinavian grind on it, like a Morgan Eve. It batons, okay. So it's not going to be designed to baton wood that is going to be, you know, like super thick. You're going to do 1 inch, maybe 2 inch thick pieces of wood that doesn't really have a lot of knots in it. A softer wood, you could probably do a little bit harder wood, but understand there's a chance it could pinch on the blade and bend your blade if it's something like hickory or ash that is going to be able to pull tight around your material if you're not careful. And it could potentially, again, bend the blade. But because it bent so far, I wouldn't be worried about it if it got pinched, that the blade would break. And that's my honest opinion on that. Out of the box, it was fairly sharp. It shaved pretty well on the cedar. It does not throw sparks on the ferro rod well. That's just because it doesn't have a 90-degree spine on it. Be very simple to clean this knife up really, really fast. Do a little bit of work with a sander or sander or a sharpening stone or something like that to be able to turn this into a great bushcraft knife, a great hunting knife, skinning knife, or a really good all multi-purpose camp knife. Now, let me talk about the leather sheath. It's a fairly decent leather sheath. I sell a lot of knives with these style sheaths. It'll hold up and do what you want it to do. Longevity of these is not going to be like 40, 50 years unless you take very, very good care of it. Leather can be finicky, especially and I'm not putting it down, it's decently made, but the cheaper leather stuff. So take good care of it and it will be there for a long time, but it would be nothing to take this knife and get somebody that knows how to do some really good leather work and make a really nice leather sheath for you that will last forever. All right. All right, guys, so let's talk about knife number 2. As you can see, when I went to bend it, it didn't want to move at first. Then I put the cheater bar on it and I broke it at the pinch point. I really like that it broke at the pinch point because that's the spot I knew it would break at. If it broke up here in the handle or broke off in another spot, then it would be a weaker blade. I'm really happy that it broke where it broke and I was determined to break it. But what just general prying with it, or you were batoning with it, this blade is going to hold up very well. It's a stronger blade. It just is not as sharp out of the box as the other one is. So you will have to sharpen this. But for the applications you're going to use it for, I would be fine using it as a bushcraft or survival knife. Out of the box, it throws sparks really well with a ferro rod. So I would check the spine to see if it was a 90, feel that sharp edge for a 90-degree spine. If it was there, I wouldn't even worry about dressing it to get it to where it was sharper. I would test it. If it worked fine, we're good. It batons very well. The shape of the blade and the way it was made, the thickness of it, it was not a doubt in my mind if you hit a knot that you couldn't baton through it or baton around it. If it got pinched, I have a great feeling that it would not even flex your blade a lot because it's such a stronger blade. Now, there's always those circumstances. If you're using a very hard piece of wood or a piece of wood that has a lot of knots in it, then yes, there's a chance you could pinch and even flex your blade or bend your blade. But that could happen with any knife. I don't care the price point. But out of the box, not bad. I like the edge on the first one better. I like the durability of this one better. Both of them batoned well. Again, I'm not worried about the epoxy resin on this handle because whenever I purchase, I always look for all wood or if it's wood and bone because it's going to be stronger. But again, you don't need to be batoning. That's what an axe is for. So, talk about the sheath real quick. Guys, this is a little bit better sheath. Not if you maintain it and take care of it like the other one, it'll last you a long time. I can't guarantee you how long it'll last, but it should last a decent amount of time. Or you could get with somebody to have them make you a really nice sheath. I know a couple people on Whatnot. I will leave links to their shows who make amazing leather work also. So, what is my final thought on both of these knives? Not counting where the epoxy busted out, I like number 2 better. Because the durability of the blade. I like my knives, even my survival knives, besides my Mora, which is a completely different category in my mind, of survival knife. I like them to be a little bit more durable. If I was in an urban survival situation, I would want something that I could do a little bit more with, and that's what I like. Now, for a good camp knife, a good skinning knife, the way test knife number 1 was, really good knife. You know, for the applications of what it was used for. I went a little extreme on what I was doing here, but both of them I would not hesitate to buy and use. And I know you'll be like, okay, it's a friend of yours, you have to say this. No, I'm being dead honest. If as soon as I busted this, I told y'all it busted. I could have hit it. I could have not said anything about it. I could have edited that part out. But I want to give a real review. I would not hesitate to buy these. Is this the quality of Damascus that I can make or some of my other blacksmith friends can make here in America? No. Is it the highest quality probably in where it comes from? No. But for a good mid-range knife, a good budget-friendly knife that can do a lot of work for you, would not hesitate to buy these. And I have bought these. I have one that I'm going to be giving to somebody for a Christmas present, and I have a couple of other ones that are mine that I like the style of the blade. So, all in all, guys, good knife, and he has them at a great price. So, I will leave a link to Jay Tizzle's Whatnot account so you can go check out what he has and find out when his shows are. But, guys, that's the review on this. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I will see you on the next one. God bless. Keep hammering.